evening. Welcome to Rupavahini News Live on Channel I.
Hello there. Very good evening indeed. I'm Sharma Screenis.
And I'm Dushan Boss.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa said when the government is carrying out activities for the benefit of the people in a transparent manner, some people speak about good governance and human rights just because they don't have anything else to speak of. Some people even allege that democratic rights are being eroded. However, the government has even given the voting rights for the people of the North and safeguarded democracy throughout the country. The President made these comments participating in a series of pinkam ceremonies held at Dematamaluwa Dikwera Rajama Vihare in Wariyapula. There is a great revival in all religions after 30 years. Anyone in the country has the right to worship any religion. The President emphasized that the government is developed temple, church, kovil and mosque in villages to safeguard the religious rights of all people. The President declared open the new bell tower, sermon hall, the gold fence around the Bodhiya and a Dhanashalava of the Viharaya. He also presented a memorabilia to the chief incumbent of the Viharaya, the Venerable Rakavasi Jinaratana Nayaka Thero. The Mahanayaka of the Askiriya chapter, the Most Venerable Udugama Sri Buddha Rakkita Nayaka Thero, made a special anushasana. The Mahanayaka of the Askiri chapter, the Most Venerable Udugama Sri Buddha Rakkita Nayaka Thero said that they expect all the people will extend their cooperation to the President to further build this country, protecting the people belonging to all religions and all communities.
ජනතාවගේ ආරක්ෂාව සඳහා ක්‍රියා කරමින් කටයුතු කරන අපේ ජනාධිපතිතුමන්ට මේ රට තවත් බොහෝ කාලයක් ඉදිරියට ගෙන යාම සඳහා හැම දිනාගේම සහයෝගය මේ අවස්ථාවේ ඉදිරියට ලැබෙනවා ඇති අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
The President addressing the function also stated that it is the objective of the government to produce a virtuous future generation in a virtuous atmosphere devoid of violence and animosity. The President said that after 30 years of suffering, a new era has been created for all the religions and all the communities to get a revival and work for the country. He said that he is happy to note that large crowds attending the religious places of worship. The President said that the attendance in the Dhamma schools are also in increase. He said the future generation should be produced in a virtuous manner accordingly. They will respect all religions and respect the children of other communities.
අපිට හදාගන්න වෙන්නේ අපේ අනාගත දරු පරපුර. අපි සියලු දෙනාම එකට සහෝදරත්වයෙන් කටයුතු කිරීම අපේ වගකීම. හැම ආගමකට ගරු කරන ගමන් අපේ දරුවන්ව යහමඟට හරවීමට කටයුතු කිරීමත් අපි කරන්න ඕන.
The Mahasangha, including the chief incumbent of the Vidya Lankara Pirivena, Professor Venerable Velamitiya Kusaladhamma Nayaka Thero, Ministers S.B. Navinna, T.B. Ekanayaka and Johnston Fernando, Deputy Minister Indika Bandar Nayaka, Governor of the Northwestern Province Tissa Balalla and several others attended the function.
It has been confirmed that the British Prime Minister David Cameron will definitely attend the Commonwealth Heads of State meeting, which is to be held in Sri Lanka. This has been disclosed by the British Foreign Minister William Hague in response to a question raised at the British Parliament today. The British Foreign Minister has said that it is the responsibility of all member countries to attend the internationally important summits like the Commonwealth Heads of State Summit. The British Foreign Minister has said that this summit is a very important one and what should be considered is not the location of the summit. Priority should be given to matters that will be discussed at the summit. Sri Lanka has defeated tiger terrorism. The British Foreign Minister has said that the international community has now got the opportunity to see the development being carried out in the country and the progress of the implementation of the recommendations of the LLRC Commission. The British Foreign Minister has told the British Parliament that the Commonwealth Heads of State Summit, which will be held in Sri Lanka in November, is a golden opportunity to see the progress being made.
Professor Rohan Gunaratne said that Sri Lanka should not bother about other statements being issued by some international organizations. He said that it is seen throughout the world that some allegations being levelled on the human rights sector are based on certain incorrect factors. Professor Rohan Gunaratne, who is an international expert on terrorist activities, is the head of the Defence Educational Unit of the Nanyang University in Singapore. He has published several books on political violence and terrorist activities. He has also carried out research on 3 decades of war in Sri Lanka.
With regard to the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Navi Pillai's statement, I think that there is a very positive aspect about this statement, and she commended the vast economic development that has taken place in the war-torn areas. On the humanitarian assistance side, Sri Lanka received 283,000 internally displaced persons, brought them to welfare centers. During that time, their original habitats were demined, 1.5 million mines removed, and they were resettled in a remarkably short period of time. There's no other country that has achieved such a feat. Some of the statement, a part of that statement that she made, we should take that to heart and try to improve. Sri Lanka also should not worry too much about some statements issued by UN agencies, although it must counter each and every statement.
Meanwhile, Minister Dallas Anaperima said that the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Navanithan Pillai, should be thanked for 6 points that she made about Sri Lanka. The minister pointed out that Navanithan Pillai presented contradicting views as well as points that cannot be accepted. The minister made these comments at the Sri Lanka Freedom Party media conference held in Colombo today. The minister said that the important fact raised by Navanithan Pillai was that the hospitality of the president as well as citizens of this country was on a higher tone. She said that the LTT was a murderous organization. She spoke about the success of the reconstruction activities being carried out in the north. She reprimanded the Tamil diaspora, spoke on holding of elections from the northern province. She also spoke about what she witnessed at the youth parliament. The minister said that she came with various venomous infusion of ideas and those opinions got changed by visiting here. When she was leaving, she said that she is proud of the Sri Lankan youth. She said when these youth become matured and come to the mainstream politics, this country will be a better and a proud nation.
එක්සත් ජාතීන්ගේ සංවිධානය හෝ මානව හිමිකම් කවුන්සිලය ලෝකෙට වැරදි මතයක් දෙන්න කටයුතු කරන්න එපා. මොකද වැරදි මතය හොඳ හිතින් නරක වැඩ කරන ආයතනයක් කියලා. ඒ නිසා කරුණාකරලා මේක දිහා තුලනාත්මකව බලන්න. මේ ආණ්ඩුව එතුමියට ආරාධනා කිරීමෙන් ඔප්පු කරේ මොකක්ද? මේ ආණ්ඩුව අධිකාරිවාදී ආණ්ඩුවක් නෙමෙයි කියලා කියන එක. අධිකාරිවාදී ආණ්ඩුවක් නම් ඒකාධිපති ආණ්ඩුවක් නම් එහෙම එන්න දෙන්නේ නැත.
Minister Dilan Pereira, taking part at the media conference, said that even the places that had some backing for the United National Party will fall down in this provincial council election. Minister Dilan Pereira predicted that the government will achieve a huge victory at this provincial council election compared with the last election. He said that Kandy district is a bastion of the United National Party. It will not only lose in this election, but the biggest defeat in the district. Minister John Senaparatne said that it is hilarious to find the United National Party shedding crocodile tears on behalf of the public sector, as it was the UNP that made plans to destroy the public service. The minister pointed out that these public servant sympathies shown by the UNP targeted the postal votes of the provincial council election. He further said that United National Party made arrangements to slash all facilities to the public servants and to deny them all allowances, perks and privileges. However, they now make lies saying that there was no salary increment given to the public servants. He said that it was the United National Party government that dismissed nearly 100,000 public servants just because they demanded a partly salary increment of 10 rupees a day. Meanwhile, Israel has commended the rapid development achieved by Sri Lanka. The encouragement for foreign investments in the country is on a very high level. This has been stated by the chief of the Eastern Trade Delegation, Mrs. Bernstein-Eich, when she called on the Minister of Economic Development, Basil Rajapaksa, recently. This is the largest trade delegation visited Sri Lanka in the recent history. They said that investment opportunities in Sri Lanka is in conformity with the international standards. The peaceful atmosphere and the political stability is very conducive for the investors. The Israel delegation informed that the attention of the investors of Israel has been focused on investing in Sri Lanka. There are several projects already being implemented in the gem and jewelry sector. The Israel delegation has also expressed their willingness to develop Sri Lanka as a tourism sector.
The people of the north and east have said that the army remaining in their areas is not an obstacle for the normal life activities in the areas. They have made these comments participating in a special seminar organized by an institution affiliated to the United Nations. This was revealed by Minister of External Affairs Professor G.L. Piris delivering a special address at the second day of the 2013 Defence Summit.
There is a great deal of misinformation and propaganda about the role of the armed forces in our country and their current status in the northern province of the island. I regret to say that some of this misinformation is reflected very strongly in the report of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. Mrs. Pillay says that the presence of the army in the north, to quote her own words, she uses the phrase intrusive and oppressive. She uses that phrase. There could not be a more unjustified or inaccurate statement. This is not what I am saying. The most convincing refutation of that assertion comes from authoritative documents prepared by the United Nations system, of which Mrs. Pillay is a member. The United Nations office dealing with humanitarian assistance, the coordination of humanitarian assistance, OCHA. These organs of the UN system have carried out a detailed survey of public attitudes and perceptions in the northern province of Sri Lanka. They interviewed 197 people selected at random, not by the government of Sri Lanka, but by the UN system. I would invite all of you who are present here today, please, to have a look at those documents. We do not mind criticism. Now, the questions posed by the United Nations officials to the people of the North are the following. This is just a sample. I'm speaking from memory. Questions are asked, precisely this: do you find the presence of the army to be an interference with your daily lives? And the answers are tabulated. 90% of the people of Jaffna answer that question emphatically in the negative.
The Minister of Investment Promotion, Lakshmana Prabhavardhana, told the Parliament today that the government has decided to establish several new investment zones in the north and provide more than 3,000 employment opportunities through these industrial zones. The minister made these comments in delivering the concluding speech relating to the revisions for the Strategic Development Project Act. Minister Lakshmana Babewardena said that there was not a single factory in the north. He said that the government was able to establish the Omega factory 3 weeks ago and thereby provided 300 employment opportunities in the first stage and 3,000 employment in the next stage. The factory has been established in a 27-acre plot of land and it was declared open by the President. The minister said that steps are being taken to establish investment zones in the places like Mana and Mullaitivu and also in other places of northern and eastern provinces. The minister said that if an investment exceeding 250 million USD is processed, special concessions under the Strategic Development Act would be provided. He said that if Ravi Karunanayaka can bring investors of this category, they will also be given special concessions under this act.
In other stories, the Chariot Festival of the Nallur Kandasamy Kovil in Jaffna was held on a grand scale this morning. Several hundreds of thousands of local and foreign devotees attended the festival. The Kandasamy Kovil is situated about 3 kilometers from the Jaffna town. After carrying out pujas for the Kataragama idol, the divine statue was placed in the chariot, and after that, devotees made offerings. The Sri Lanka Air Force offered floral tributes from the air. The annual feast of the Kovil will come to an end with the water cutting ceremony to be held tomorrow.
The Vice Chairperson of the Chinese Grand Women's Organization, Mrs. Bingsha Osi, has commended the women and joint development programs being carried out here in Sri Lanka. She had made these comments when she met the First Lady, Madam Shirantu Rajapaksa, yesterday. Mrs. Bingsha Osi also functions as the Deputy Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party. She has arrived heading the Chinese delegation on an invitation extended by the First Lady. Women's organizations of more than 100 countries in the world are represented in the Chinese Grand Women's Organization. The main objective of the organization is to provide solutions to the problems of women and children in the member countries of the organization. The Chinese delegation commended the plans being implemented by the government to strengthen child population in this country. Mrs. Bingsha Osi said that the Chinese government will continue to assist Sri Lanka in its child development efforts.
A storm that hit the Wakare area in Batticaloa last night has damaged 50 houses. 6 houses in the Madurankani area of Wakare have been completely destroyed. Another 43 houses have been partially damaged. Tents have been given to the affected families for their temporary shelter. The army and the police are carrying out relief activities. The director of the disaster management unit of the district, S. Indrajan, said that the damage will be estimated and further steps will be taken.
A group of businessmen from the Netherlands arrived in the country today. The Sri Lankan ambassador in the Netherlands, Budianta, also arrived with the 12-member investment delegation. The Sri Lankan ambassador Budianta said that the Netherlands team is planning to explore investment opportunities in the power, agriculture, tourism and health sectors. They will also hold discussions on investment opportunities with the President, several ministers and the business community. They will be travelling to various parts of the country within their stay here for about 1 week.
The most important thing right now.
Mrs. Y.A.D. Nandavati Sirisena, the mother of the Minister of Health, Maitripala Sirisena, has passed away. She was 83 years old of age. Mrs. Nandavati Sirisena was a retired school teacher. She had 12 children. She has taught several thousands of children. The body of the late Mrs. Sirisena is lying in state at the residence of Minister Maitripala Sirisena at the new town in Polonnaruwa. The funeral will be held at Rajarata Navodaya Stadium in Hatarayala, Kandruwala on the 6th of this month.
Let's take a look at the trading details at the Colombo Stock Exchange.
Very good evening and welcome to the Sports News with me, Javed Bongzo. A new cricket tournament has been introduced under the name of Lanka Premier League. A media conference in this connection was held yesterday. The objective of the tournament is to train softball players at the regional level to train with leather balls and bring them to the national levels. Minister of Mass Media and Information Kelly Ramukwala has come forward to sponsor this tournament. The preliminary matches were played in the month of April. The final matches will be played from October 3rd to the 6th in the Pallakale International Cricket Stadium. 12 teams will be participating in the finals. Each innings is limited to 6 overs and the number of players in the team will be 6 players. The specialty of this tournament is using a special ball called tough, which is semi-hard ball.
Good night.